All right, good morning, everybody. We're back, and it's another Tuesday, doing another Template Tuesday here. Tuesday, October 9th. Today, I'm going to go through the Hendrix Houses template that we created last week because I started with that while we were doing Template Tuesday, but I finished it after. So I just wanted to run through that really quick and explain to you what I did. And then we're going to go through another template, get started on that. I'm going to take some questions. I'm going to show you some advanced features. Yeah, should be a fun Template Tuesday. Looking forward to it. So we'll just jump right into this. So last week we did this Hendrix Houses template. We had a nice big full viewport image here. I'm just going to show you really quick. So all we did is we went into the background, and one of the things that you may or may not have noticed last week is that we had the fixed background or a parallax background on, but we had a bug in it at the time where it was causing some scrolling issues on the page, so we're still waiting for that to get fixed. And so because of that, I also decided to take out parallax before I released it onto the marketplace because I didn't want to give you guys a template with bugs. But the parallax feature is a great one. And again, with the spacing, what we did here is rather than doing, the default or the default block height, we did match the viewport, and we did the block's content maximum width at full. And that lets you basically go 100% width on this thing here like that. So that was that part. Oops, looks like I missed a setting here. Oh yeah, so then what we did is we set the block contents maximum height to full, and that basically distributes the space of those columns evenly vertically. So you have, or I should say rows. So this row, and this row. So that's how we did that. Moving down, we created this little custom kind of layout here with adding borders. So we added a bunch of different columns here, and we added borders to the right side of each of these columns. That's how we did that part. This is a cool little feature. We weren't able to make the full width slider, but what we did instead is we put two columns here. So we've got background image. And so then I did something that I like to do a lot in a lot of these templates is, add the image as a background to a column, and then add a color overlay. And generally dark is better. So a little pasty there. So we did two of those, right? And then what we did is we just popped our slider right into the middle here. And this is just a slideshow element. And then what I did on here is I took out the title, the text, oops, jumped right in there, and the button, which we could have had, but I took those out so that we just had the background. And then I left a button at the very bottom, the button to expand. And you may or may not remember, but I had mentioned that if you link this up to an Ontraport Lightbox, you could make this appear kind of like an image gallery. And all you would do is you'd make an Ontraport that is, maybe 80% width and 80% height, and it's just all images. And that way, when you click this, you'd open that up, and you'd get, you'd emulate that behavior a bit. So that's how you would do that. Background image here, again with the color overlay. You may have noticed last week we had custom HTML element here. I was unable to share that on the marketplace because we try to protect security around here, and we don't want people to put malicious scripts and that kind of stuff into these custom HTML blocks and then share them on the marketplace for everybody to get, hacked, whatever a hacker might use that for. So I instead just change this out for an image. So no custom HTML block, just change this to an image. But again, it's really easy. You know, just add this in here, drag in a custom HTML block. You can make it full width, take off your spacing. You know, go get your embed code from Google for the Google map here, and pop it right in. I should say that you can share templates with custom HTML blocks individually and to other users. You just can't share them on the marketplace like that. And again, the reason for that is just a security risk. Delete this block here. This is a regular text block. This is another great one. Very simple, but you know, very elegant. It's a background image with a dark overlay and then some parallax on it. So the way that that ends up looking is, as we scroll down, you see the background is kind of scrolling at a different rate to the actual scroll rate of the page. So that's the parallax there. And then finally, we have these little squares, or I guess we call them rectangles here. More homes like this. So just kind of little ads for additional homes that are out there. All that is basically 3 columns. And then the spacing, we actually added left and right margin of 10 pixels to this so that we could get the spacing, because if you don't have that, let's click on this back here. Then you would see these borders kind of running into each other, but we wanted to separate that out a little bit. So what we did was we added 10 pixels to each of these. Of margin there like that, and then it gives you that nice little layout. And then on the inside, there's column padding, and then we just added an image, text, pretty basic other elements there. Then finally, I just took one of our footers that we had in our block library, and I added those because it was you know, pretty decent, and just changed up some of these links, and that's it. Bob's your uncle. Template Tuesday template, Hendrix Houses. So that was last week. This week, we're going to jump into a fitness template that was submitted to us by Brandon. And this looks like a pretty easy template to build. The one thing that I'm noticing here that we may run into challenges with are these little down arrows. We do have these down arrows, but currently you can't use them with the background image behind. That is something we're looking into. It's something that we're going to add as soon as we can figure out a good way to do it. It's just incredibly complicated to do this. So currently, again, you can do this with background colors, but you can't do it with background images. Everything else looks pretty easy though. I mean, this is just an image with a blue color overlay. We've got a countdown timer in here. We've got a button with icon in there. You know, this is pretty easy to create. These are just images. Another button. I believe we have a block like this in the block library. We can make the tweaks to make that work too. Very basic elements here. Yeah. So all in all, I think this will be pretty easy. You're noticing here that we've got the parallax on this, right? They've got the parallax, I should say. Or actually, that's not parallax, it's a fixed background. So I have a fixed background. We can accomplish that too. All right, so I'm just gonna launch in and get started. See how far we can get. Template Tuesday, 10/9/18. That is today. All right, I'm I'm going to move this on over to my other screen here so that I can go back and take a look at it. What you're seeing here is a nice little library of images that we've had created specifically just for Ontraport. It's amazing. All the imagery that we have here is just so utterly professional and just gorgeous. I mean, look at some of these images. We're so lucky to be able to use these. I mean, that's one of the biggest things that makes a big difference when you're making templates in general. Is if you have good imagery and some really good text, between the two of those, if you think about it, that's the majority of what a web page is, right? Obviously, you can add your elements like your videos in there and your countdown timers that do kind of tricky things, but really the core of your site is all on the images and the text. So, I would highly suggest that before creating your pages, you'd go out there and you'd find some really, really good images. One of the places that I really like to look for free stock photos is Pexels. Pexels is great. This is all Creative Commons, all completely free to use, even for commercial purposes. There's just tons and tons and tons of good images in here. And they've even got a Pexels video now. So video.pexels, I believe. Oh, let's take off that www. I think. Yeah. So you've even got stock videos, which is nice because we could, download something like the Bokeh video of leaves here and use that as a background video to one of our blocks. So there's two good tips for you there. All right, let's jump back into this. So the first things first, for me, when I'm looking at this template, I do want to get my color palette ready first. And one of the things that I do when I'm looking at other colors that I like, and I actually like these colors, is I'll just inspect these elements. So what you can do is you can just double click, or right click, I should say. You right click on kind of wherever it is that you see the color that you want to pick from. And then you hit inspect element. And what that does is it takes you right to the HTML. And then generally on the right-hand side, you'll see the CSS and we can see background color. So I'm going to get that background color, toggle this so that I get the hex code. I'm going to use that as the green. I think it looks like, it looks like all of our buttons are green. So I'm going to make our primary color green for this template. Just plug that right in there like that. Go to our complementary color, which is obviously this blue, which I also really like. So that's another way to do this. You can just jump into this inspector at any point in time. I could go anywhere here, right? I could go even just to the HTML of the page. And if I wanted to type in, I'll just take this off. But if I just type in color, then red, then I get this red. But what I can do is I can click on it and then click on the page and it gives me that color. It's literally looking at the colors on the page and then giving me those colors. So I've got my blue now. Let me add that blue in. Let's take a look at the blacks they have. Let's just take a look and see what they're using for their text. Four seven. That'll be fine. Yeah, it looks like. Let's see. Is that also 474747? Nope, that's a different black. But that might be okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like we have a ton. Oh, actually, let's use this black because it seems like that will get used. So that's 313131. Three different colors of black here. All right, so let's add that. All right, let's see if we can see. Oh, yep, they've got a light color, which is their gray. We'll take that. And then white, we generally always leave as white. Great. Save those up. First things first, taking a look at this again. Let's go back up to the top. Let's get rid of the inspector. Oh, I've made changes to that. Obviously it won't save. So now accepting applications. Let's just grab a text element, pop it right in there. Let's do subheadline. Now accepting applications. Put that 2 stars in there. Make it stand out even more. Got it like that. Let's get the background color on here. Now that we've got our background color set, it's super easy just to select that primary background color. Let's make this white. I believe it was white, right? Yep. Let's bold that out. All right, we're getting there, but let's see. I want to try and emulate this font. I'm going to actually see if we. This looks like a very familiar font. Let's see what they're using here. Montserrat. Great, yeah. I mean, we've got that available. So I'm going to change up our font styles here. Montserrat. Now we're looking a little bit more like it. Let's do this here. What I like to do in general is I'll use like one specific font for all the headlines so that we've got kind of a consistency between all of them. And then I like a different font for kind of like the large, well, really more the body text, the labels and the quotes, something that's just always readable. Like if you're reading a lot of text, that's kind of the, the main thing that you want to go for here. So let's see. Source Sans Pro is nice. I also like Work Sans. Work Sans is good. Another good regular one would be the Open Sans font. I think I'm going to go with Open Sans for this. So let me just set up the rest of these fonts here, and that way we're over and done with this part. Roboto is another great font. Google inspired for sure. Button. Let's take a look and see what they're using for their button. Button we might actually be able to use Montserrat for. All right. Yep, looks like it. So let's do that. Open Sans. And I'm actually going to use Montserrat again for the quote, even though I don't generally use quotes very often. All right, so now we've got something that's looking semi-decent, although the subheadline is just a little too big for me. Let's take a look and see what they've got going on here. So what is the biggest headline on the page? Looks like it's probably this. So that is what we're going to make our H1, and the font size for that is 34 pixels. So let's go back in here. Something like that. Let's go find looks like this one's a little smaller. That we could do for subheadline 2. Looks like they've got 28 for that. Bring that down to 28. That's actually feeling better just looking at it right in the editor here. Line height. I always like to get line height. We can actually lock this up. For the most part, you can always keep your font size and your line height locked up. Without problem. And then subheadline 2, let's see what else they have going on here. Looks like this would be a subheadline 2, 22 pixels. This is a note where we have a project right now to upgrade the slider component just had. You'll be able to hit the up and down arrows soon when you're in here to increase and decrease the size of these things. All right, so we're starting to look good here. The only other thing that I'm noticing is that there's really not, even though this is kind of bold, let's see, how does that look in comparison? Well, I guess we can look at it when we get there. I'm gonna bring it down just, actually maybe not. Okay, so that looks good. So the very top part, now accepting applications. This is definitely a little bit more bold. Let's take this down. Oh, looks like we'd already added bold here too. Okay, so there we go. Subheadline. Yep, looking pretty close. All right, so let's add some spacing in here so that we can line this thing up perfectly. The one thing to note, again, we still haven't made this update, but all of these elements have a bottom margin on them right now. We are going to change that to be top margin. And then top and bottom padding, we'll just make that 10 pixels. That way it's kind of lined up perfectly. So again, thing to note here is we wanted to take out the bottom margin for now. You won't have to worry about that soon. And then that makes that, kind of line up perfectly. And then we added 10 pixels of space above and below it. All right, moving on. Are you ready to look and feel amazing? I am, for sure. Let's add this in here. What did we? So this looks like it was. So this might have been a subheadline 3. Actually, let's try and switch that back over. Yeah, that'll be fine. This is a subheadline 2. Are you ready to look and feel amazing? All right, great. So let's go in here. Let's click this column. Let's make this background that blue color. Come back into the text. Take out that bottom margin again. Let's also make that text our white color. And again, let's give this 10 pixels top and bottom padding. There we go. So now we have this, and then it looks like we've got the 6-week slim down is back on. Before I add this, because it's a white text on an image, let's add an image in here. I actually found an image of a nice looking group of people in our little library here. Let's change this one up. All right, we've got a nice looking group of people in here. Let's change up this alignment so that we make it center top so that we can see most of the people's faces. Obviously, that'll be a little bit bigger after. The other thing that we're going to want to do is add that black color overlay. I find that about 72 to 80, anywhere between 70 and 80 is pretty good. I'll leave it at 81 for now. All right, so we've got our image background on there. Add another subheadline of text here. Just going to drag this right down to give it that separation like we have here. We're going to call it the 6-week. Center that up. And this actually may be our headline. Yeah, it looks like it's definitely headline size. Although, it's still looking a little bit smaller than what their headline is. So let's just increase that. So notice when I open this up, I'm not going to go here and use this font size because I want all the headlines to be the same. So I'm going to come here to headline, and I'm actually going to increase the headline font size instead. Let's get that up to 41. Oop, looks like I'm got some spec writing to do. Okay, we've got that in there now. And we have an image here on the left-hand side. So I actually already made this, this layout. I've got 2 columns here. And so I'm just gonna copy this image address. I'll use theirs for now. I'll find another one before I upload this template to the marketplace. There we go. And then it looks like challenge starts May 21st. Now this is going to be difficult to do because it's just text with kind of a background color. And we don't have the ability currently just to put background colors on elements. We do have the ability to put background colors on text. I'm going to show you what that looks like really quick, but it's not going to accomplish our goal here. So in this case, it says challenge starts May 21st. You'll notice here that we've got another option. Right now it's showing the transparent icon. What we can do is we can change that to the complementary, or was that the complementary color. But you'll notice it doesn't extend all the way. Now I can add some spaces here to extend that out a little bit, and it doesn't look too bad. But it does not extend all the way. If you want it to extend all the way, a little trick, and I'll just leave this here for now because I think that that's going to be fine. But a little trick that you can do is use a button. Just don't link that button up to anything. Leave that off. We'll just go in here. We'll change this to the complementary background color. Make sure that we have the different font style, which would be the probably large body text. Large body text bolded. Although it looks like they actually are going to use, no, there's both. So in this case, I am going to use custom instead. And then I'm going to make this a little bit more bold so we can kind of get to where we wanted to. Now, if I just change this to we can kind of get it to go along the width of that column. I'm going to go with what we have here because I think it serves its purpose for now, but this is a great workaround. Buttons are a great workaround until we get element background colors in there. So coming back here, let's take another peek. Looks like we have a little bit of text here. Call or text. Looks like it's probably a subheadline. Let's make it nice and white. Center it up. Actually, it looks like it's probably large body text. That looks more like it. Let's give it a little bit more space. And we've got our button. Let's give that a little bit of space. Yep. And what did we say on this? Yes, I want to apply now. Little arrow, just do this with the text. Separate it out. use that little rounded checkbox. So again, let's type in check. Whoa, caps. Check in a circle. There we go. So we've got our check in a circle. Although we can make that a little bit, well, let's take a look. Looks like the actual button text is a little bit bigger. So let's go in here and adjust the button. Get 24 maybe. Let's see what they got going on here. 22. All right, great. So we're looking pretty close here. Let's just add in a video. Let's push that video down so it's just kind of lined up. Well, it looks like it does look like it's kind of lined up with the other. I think that once we look at this on a bigger screen, the alignment will be a little bit better. I'm going to click this just for the moment because I want to push. I'm going to use the bottom margin just to push this down so that we can get the more proper spacing here. It looks like we can go down a little bit more even. Sure, let's call it 60. All right, let's do a quick little preview. Yeah, so it looks like our spacing is pretty close there. Now, what are you noticing immediately? Probably noticing that little bit of gap that we need to add. So let's go in there and do that. So I come to the column. I'm coming to column spacing. I'm going to take this lock off the left and right padding, and I'm going to basically add 20 pixels. And then that pulls that out. We got that nice little gap there. So looks like we could go even more because I like to be equal. I'm going to do it on 20 pixels on the left on the other side as well. There we go. Looking pretty good, right? Looking pretty close. Looks like we could probably take down the padding size of this a little bit. Probably only do that 5 pixels. Let me just do that really quick. All right, there we go. So now we've got a block, a hero banner, is what they're calling these. It looks pretty similar here, right? Okay, so moving on down to these next sections. This is going to be pretty easy. I'm just going to put in some placeholder images here. Before I do that, though, I want to show you how to do these arrow blocks. So we get questions on that. We got a number of questions on these last week. So I'm just going to come in here. I'm going to make the background of this block black per se. And then in this block, I want an arrow that's going to go down to the next one. So I'm going to click type bottom, come back out. I may need to add some text here. Looks like we're not. Oh, it's probably because we don't actually have a background color. We're using transparent. So if we put the background color on, there we go. So it's as simple as that. Again, come in to edit the block, hit border arrow shadow, go to the type, and select bottom. Take that back off. Just wanted to quickly show you that. Take this back out now. Let's just delete this block. So we're not quite there yet. And let's just grab this text. I believe this was a subheadline, centered. Actually, it looks very similar to the headline. Looks like we've got that in there a number of times. So let's increase. Let's go back to the headline. Let's do this slightly different way. So instead, I'm going to bring the font weight down of this, like that. Then I'm going to come to this one because it looks like this is the only place on their template where it's bold. But it looks very, very similar in size. So I'm going to use the headline for both of those. I'm just going to bold this one out like that. And then this one, we're going to come back to headline. Oh, and that might be taking some of the formatting. There we go. Still looks a little big here, doesn't it? So maybe we really are at the subheadline. This is the problem when you don't have consistency. All right, so I'm going to do this slightly different way. I'm just going to change subheadlines. And I'm going to just fix these other ones here that got blown out because of it. And we'll just use the large body. Subheadline 2, we'll do subheadline 2. That works for now. All right, that looks like a large body font there. Let's grab that. Pop this in, large body, center it up. I don't know why we've got space there. All right, there we go. Let's take a peek. We got some images here. I'm just going to add some demo images for the sake of time. I'm also going to do this in a particular way with the layout, where we're going to have 2 rows, 2 columns. Great. I'll pop some other images in here before I show the template, obviously, so we can spice it up a little bit, but that's going to pretty much mimic what we've got going on here, right? And then just below that, we're going to add one more row for that button. Looks like we have a very similar button. Now that we've got that, that style that we like here for this one, I'm going to go in here. I do this an awful lot. I will favorite this. The minute I favorite it, it's going to come into my favorites. And that way I can use it again here. Click on that, come to style, select my favorites. There we go. So now let's just change the text of that button. I think it said just apply now, right? And then again, it looks like it's got 2 little arrows. I'm going to do that just with the text here, like that. And I'm going to bring this in so that we have the smaller button. And then let's add a little bit of space here. Great. And then around the full thing, I'm going to add a little bit more padding on this block. It doesn't look like they have equal padding here, equal space, I should say, but the designer in me always likes things balanced. So So I'm going to give it all equal space. Then again, I'm going to remember that we've got bottom margin here on this button. Take away that. And there we go. If we want a little extra space between those columns, again, we can do the same thing as we did above. We just come in here, we hit spacing, unlock, right padding from this one. Left padding on this one. Forgot to go into these images, take off the bottom margins. Now we've got two sets of images like that. Now that I've got this one working just like I'd like it to, I'm actually going to come in here, I'm going to delete that row. So again, I'm just coming over here. This is the row settings. You can move a row up, or you can move a row back down. You can duplicate a row if you'd like to. I don't like to, so I'm going to delete that. I'm going to delete this row here. And then I'm going to duplicate this row. Now we're looking a little bit better. Looks like that we could have left some spacing in. Actually, no, it looks like those images are kind of on top of each other. I'm not in love with that right now, so I am going to add a little bit of spacing, but I'm going to do it to the column instead. That way, every single time that we add a new element in, it's just that spacing is always there properly. 20. Spacing here, bottom spacing 20. And there we go. I think there's a little bit of spacing that we want to add between that text and images. Let's see what that is. Yeah, just a tad. Let's make that maybe just 20 also. Not 320, 20. There we go. All right, so we're looking a little bit better here. On to the next block. So let's see what we've got. Looks like it's a banner ad. I know I've made these before. Let's see if we've got something that looks similar to that here. Let's see what this is. Oh, it's slightly different, isn't it? Okay, we'll just make this from scratch. Delete this one. Add another one from scratch. Let's take a look at our layout. So it looks like it's a single column layout. We should be able to accomplish all that. All right, let's get that another background image in there. Looks like we've got, I'm just going to use the same background image for now. We can switch those out later, just for speed here. Hi, Jazzy. Hi, John. Thanks, John. All right, let's see here. And this time, we want to use the blue color overlay. We want to come up all the way up. So it looks like that's what they've got going on here, right? Image with the overlay, color overlay like that. Up to 98% even. Oh, thought it was going to go to 98%. There we are. All right. Put this on the other screen again so I don't keep going back and forth on you guys. Let's add subheadline for that, although it looks like we'll just stick with subheadline. Just gonna copy and paste their text, be easier. I like to put it into the header first though, so that it takes off any styling that might get copied in the process. All right, so let's add the challenge. Let's add some, it's probably a large body text. I'm just gonna use headline for now and then switch that up to large body text. Let's go white. I feel like it's a little bit bigger. I noticed that above too, so I'm just gonna bump this up a little bit. Hopefully we don't. All right, so we'll leave it at 24. 24 seems pretty good. Okay. And then we're gonna add a countdown timer. Bring the size of this in a little bit. Then we're gonna add a button. I'm just gonna duplicate this button because it's faster and easier for now. Put that in there, although I'm gonna bring that there like that, so we're looking a little bit better. Okay, let's just pop in here. Let's see if somebody has style created already very similar to that. Maybe not. Favorites, I don't think that's it. I'm entirely positive we can do those individual boxes, but we'll try it. Let's see here. Let's see our options. We have numbers, text, color. No, so it looks like we've got background for the whole thing. So I'm just going to use that other style that I saw here, which is the black one. So I think that's going to look fine too. Although I don't like that yellow. Instead, I'm going to do green. That looks pretty good. Or maybe let's blue. Let's try that blue. Blue looks good too, although it kind of gets lost in the background. So we'll go back to the green. I think that definitely looks better in my opinion. Let's make that a little smaller. And there we go. Again, let's add some more spacing here. Do 60 pixels. One thing you'll notice is, for me, when I'm creating these templates, I like to have all blocks having the exact same kind of spacing on them. So 60 here, 60 here, 60 here. It gives a nice consistency to the page as you're building it. So I'd suggest trying for that. Looking at this, and I'm second guessing this now. Maybe just take off this background color altogether. I think that's better. I think it's a better way to go with this one. So let's do that. Let's just leave it like that. Okay, moving on. Creating this next block. Bring this back over here just so you can see. So it looks like we're trying to create this. It looks like we've got a column that's a little smaller here. 2 columns, some images on the bottom. All right. So we've only got 10 minutes left. That should be enough time for me to do that one and then just toss in some more, and then I'll come back to you again next week, or maybe the week after, since I will be out next week, and tell you what we did. Add another single column row. Add a subheadline here. We've got large body text again. Center it up. We'll leave that text in there for now. Come back in because we want to add. So this one's a little different, just because if you notice here, I'll bring this back. If you notice, we've got this column, it's smaller width than what obviously this column is here. So to do that, I'm going to add some extra columns like that. And then I'm going to put the background on this middle column here. And there we go. So we have that column that looks like that. So now we've got, so we have an image here next to some text. So the better way to do this, because we have the image and the text right here, is to actually duplicate this whole entire row again. And then here, let's make this 50% width, and we'll come here, add the background to this column as well. Great. And then we'll add an image here. We'll just do the image placeholder for now. We can already see some issues with that. We'll address those in a sec. And then it looked like we had that subheadline too. And we're saying make it white. All right, and the spacings is obviously off on this, so let's just go in here and add some quick spacing. Looks like we probably have, I'd say maybe that's 20, 25 pixels maybe. So I'm just going to do the top on this one. Top 25 pixels. I'm also going to do the right at 25 pixels. That. I'm going to do the same over here. So top at 25 pixels. Left at 25 pixels. So kind of there. This image may need a little bit more space on the right as well, so it doesn't run into that text. So I'm just going to pop that lock back on, and we'll get the 25 pixels on each side. This is left aligned. Let's align it left. Let's get some additional text in here. Let's make it white. Like that, and now I can just duplicate this text. Let's just drag it down to the bottom part. And then here, I'm going to do the same thing again, except for no top. So we want this time 25 pixels on the bottom, 25 pixels left and right. And that gives us that proper spacing. Now let's move this down. By going to the element above it and adding on some bottom margin. And there we go, we're pretty close. Obviously, we should play with our text, get it perfect. And let's take a look. So yeah, so we're pretty close on this. If we want to add it, if we wanted to add the do that. In general, this body text looks a little small and not as bold as I'd like. So I'm going to go 17 pixels, bold it out just a tad. Yeah, I think we're closer there with that. So there we go. We're starting to look kind of close here, except for there's two of these. So let's just duplicate this since we've got this looking pretty close here. So I'm going to duplicate, and then I'm going to duplicate this. And then I'm going to move this row down. Oh, I guess it's the same thing as that. So they're like that. And then I'm going to come to this column and I'm going to add margin, bottom margin, to give it that separation. Looks like we're closer to 50 pixels maybe there. So there you have it. So you got the two different sections. We could add some more text. We could add the images and text here if we wanted to. I think it was like that. And I think there was one more row for the button. So let's go ahead and just drop these in here. Obviously bring these down. Just going to duplicate this one because it will already have the same exact margin on it. And then let's duplicate, I'll just add another button here for now. And then I'm going to go to my favorite styles, pull that back again. Change the size of this. Ooh, this is a cool button. We've got some subtext in here. So it's your turn now. And the subtext we're going to use is click here to register for free. All right, so we're looking pretty close on that. Looks like they decided to go bold on It's Your Turn Now, which we can do just by selecting that text and making it bold. That pops it out a little bit better, right? There we go. We've got the button with the subtext. Let's take a look at that spacing. Looks like it's down even further. All right, we're almost at time. I'm just going to add in a couple more of these blocks. I think we're actually pretty close. We can probably get there. We want to look for testimonials. Testimonials have the multiple columns. Oh, it looks like we don't have them here right now. Product details, perhaps. Yeah, we could use one of these product details ones. Looks like we might be missing some of the blocks that we originally added. I'm gonna take a peek into that. This one will suffice for now. So it looks like we just simply have another background image with a dark overlay here. Again, I'm just going to use one of the images that we have because we're pretty much out of time here. Look, a little extra, a few minutes extra today, just so we can get a little closer before I jump off. All right. Oops, we want to do one more column above it so that you can get that headline in there. And then it looked like comprehensive program. We're going to use that primary color for that. Add some margin again. Push these down. We're pretty close on this. I can tweak this out. I'm going to tweak this out later. I'll just make this white for now so that we can see what we're doing. Like that. We've got another block, although that's background is coming through too much. So let's just, yeah, it looks like it was closer to that. Even maybe darker. All right, this block, I mean, this is very similar to the one that we just did. So I think that that's not something we need to do today. This stuff is very easy to add. I'll do, actually all of these are pretty easy to add. I'm just gonna do this last block just to show you the parallax one more time and how to set that up. And then I'll add the rest for next week and share it with you guys. Actually, I might not get this out before I leave. I'm on a trip to Hawaii. It's my first trip where I'm away from work for more than 4 days since I got married, which was 6 years ago. So I'm really excited about this trip. All right, let's make this white. Left align this. Looks like I'm going to do large. We're going to make this the primary color. We're going to add some more large body text. And make it bigger. I'm going to make this white again. Obviously, we won't see anything now until we add the other background image. And then this time I'm going to come here. I'm going to do the fix because I think it's a fixed image. Yeah, it looks like it's a fixed image instead. Let's get this spacing a bit better. Let's get our whole block. I'm going to add a little bit more spacing as usual. And then I think they have, looks like one more bit here. So are you in? And one more button. And duplicate this one and drag it on in. All right, so looking pretty close. Actually, this looks like it was slightly separated. They had 2 sets. A bit more there. All right, I'm gonna add just something like this so that we have a little space between these 2 blocks. Take that out before, but I just want to show you what we got going on here. Add a footer at the bottom. So we'll just do that one for now. Should be fine. All right, let's preview this baby. So we're looking pretty good here. We've got a lot of these same elements. Like I said before, I'm going to update these images when we have time. And then you'll notice here the fixed background. So the fixed background means the background stays. It gives it that nice little effect like that. I like to use that one in particular a lot. Questions? Do we have any questions immediately? Looks like maybe not. We're pretty much over time anyway. So I'm going to try and finish this up as far as I can get today, and then I'll probably hand it off to Jonathan, our spectacular senior product designer here. And he'll finish it up for you guys and launch it to the marketplace, perhaps while I'm in Hawaii. If not, we'll launch it right after Hawaii. I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for another wonderful Template Tuesday. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.